Hi, everyone, and welcome to our prenatal wellness talks. Today, it is my pleasure to have with me Adriana von Runic and Terri Dale-Kearney, exploring one of the most fundamental yet often overlooked aspects of early human development, which is the power of the mother's voice. Thank you so much, Adriana and Terri, for being with me today. And before we start, I would like you both to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and what brought us to this work. Adriana, do you want to start?
Thank you, Susanna. Very, very nice to be here with you. And yes, so my background is classical music training and music therapy. I'm a mother of two sons and a daughter to a half Norwegian family. And so I was an activist in the 80s, activist for home birthing and self-ruling and health, very, in tune with nature and common sense. Later, I moved to Ireland and then to Australia. And in Sydney, Australia, I was given the opportunity to design a music program for a mother's group. Half of these women had IVF babies, and this were very conscious women, and then decided that they thought music was very important to them. So my research started, and my own experience through all my own pregnancies, conscious birthing, singing, in birthing, and all that was my base. And then I came across scientific research data was publicized from University of California some decades ago about a very interesting research program, which result was that all babies love most mother's voice and mother's heartbeat. And then that research shown that the unborn baby was already reacting very positively to classical music of masterpieces of Johann Sebastian Bach and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and then everything else. And I was quite, I had many questions when I read through these papers. So obviously they had been able some decades ago already able to measure the unborn brain waves and whatever the mother was exposed to, and were able to to bring up some valuable data. Then I had the privilege of working shoulder to shoulder with Barbara Harper, who I believe is leading in water birthing she's from Florida. And we met working in China in this whole context of pregnancy, birthing, early parenting. So my music therapy background is based on Waldorf Steiner education. So Rudolf Steiner was a philosopher, turn of the century, like also Maria Montessori generation, who brought completely new ideas into education at the time. Survived the 100 years mark, they still exist.
So that's wonderful. That's one. We are going to talk a little bit more about those wonderful findings that you have experienced also in your work. Terri, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, just a few little points. I suppose I've known Adriana for about 10 years now. We're working with her for about 8. We met because she She was hosted at a concert in a nearby venue here where I live that I helped organize. And I was really impressed with her concert. And we got talking. And I was actually running a small art festival at the time. And I was really she was talking to me about, the work that she does with all ages and abilities. And I was able to bring her over and host her for a few workshops the year after. And then we just started working together because this is not was not my, main background. I have backgrounds more in the arts, but in arts administration. But I really did believe a lot in her research and her enthusiasm and the difference that she really does make with people worldwide when she does her workshops, and was really fascinated by this area. And so here we are, 8 years later.
Adriana, you make a strong claim that the mother's voice is essential as physical care. So, what is the most solid evidence or mechanism behind this idea and this experience that you have?
First of all, my own experience as a very young mother. I gave natural birth to 3 children in 4 years, and I naturally used my humming body tone as a technique of calming myself. I learned that through my voice training and music therapy training. So I must say that was a tool that was given by life to me. And I remember also my grandmother always humming and singing to me, which was the only thing that really stuck to my memory as a calming element in my very unsettled childhood. So I can only say there was, for instance, I've been traveling the world with the 3 young children and my Norwegian German husband at the time in New Zealand, and the youngest was not even 2 years old, and we were in a private plane, an old-fashioned, very noisy propeller machine, and crossing the Alps in New Zealand, and it was just the time of baby's nap time, but it happened to be in this noisy plane with the baby sleeping on my chest, but I was a bit worried about it, and then started humming, and in no time she relaxed, she slept. But I was doing this practice already in my pregnancy, and also in during the birthing moments, and to calm myself first. And the nice effect was that it was calming the children too. And the baby then slept through this noisy episode and woken up very happily then when we landed. So also I tried it on horses and on my dogs. When there was a crisis, I put my hand close on them and in a good place, in a head or neck or chest, and then would hum to them, and they always calm down. So I had something in my backpack that not everybody was aware of. And then later, when I researched, I learned about the vagus nerve and the whole physiological hormone effect that it does to us. And then the bees, the bees are humming, and then I learned also in nature that the jaguar in the Amazons is humming and singing to her cubs. And then I heard excerpts of sound recordings of the whale in the ocean singing and humming to her babies. So I had the proof that I didn't need, but to communicate it to the world, it helped.
Yeah, and you are linking the humming to the vagus nerve, and I wanted to know what do you think it changes in the baby when this is done consistently?
Well, we now know from scientific research that the oxytocin release during a healthy birthing, and especially also then the first eye contact of mother and child, is a kind of a feeling of falling in love. and they have been able to measure this, and they say there is a high production in the baby and the mother of the oxytocin hormone. And now there are even therapists who work with that. So I think it must have to do, but I'm not a scientist. I'm an artist. I'm a mother and a music therapist. So that's all I can say.
And many parents, when they feel overwhelmed, do you think that this is also a practice that can help them to be effective, to also, you know, calm down their baby? Or are there also other practices that can realistically be applied by parents to, without adding more pressure, sometimes in the experience that they are having? And some of them are even, you know, sleep deprived with the newborn coming in. What can you tell us about those practices?
Yes, I mean, I have been through, as a young mother, through these years of being sleep deprived, and it's not a good state to be in. We do need help from the surrounding, but I think only an individual knows when it feels good or it feels bad, when there is danger or when there is safety. And I remember that rocking and moving and dance kind of in a very calm swinging pattern, um, and then the vibration of my own voice was always the best effect, you know, beside the nursing. I was a good nursing mom, but I remember that the father of the children was very frustrated because he says, "Oh well, you can nurse and I cannot, and how can I calm then?" And I said, "Well, just use your voice, you know. You don't have to be perfect. It's nothing about perfect. It's about connection. It's the bonding. It's the trust and the warmth. We are warmth beings as humans, and also all the mammals, you know, you can watch it. When the dog gets their babies, it's the same thing. They come close, you know, they need the warmth. They need the voice. The animals also do it.
Can I say something too, just in regards
Yes,
to
of course,
that? Is
Terri.
that
Just jump in the
Adriana?
conversation.
Sorry, yeah. Well, just to, like, Adriana, wouldn't you say too? I mean, that's why, you know, what you promote is, you know, to sing or talk to baby, you know, in the womb before, like even better, you know, if you're looking for calming techniques, because I think you said like the earlier the better, that the fetus can actually, their ears have developed since, you know, from 3 months in the womb. And really the mother is always, if they're talking or singing, they're the closest thing and they're the first voice that they'll ever hear. So they'll automatically latch on to, oh, this is the voice. This is the voice that tells me everything's okay, or, you know, what have you. And so, you know, I think you said to me once that there was like, you know, basically like a little procedure where it starts, where it's like familiarity builds trust and trust then builds calm, you know, like a habit. And so obviously, you know, if the baby is hearing, you know, the mother, but then also maybe the father will be talking, you know, or maybe the siblings will be talking, that it's helping babies, you know, set up baby for when they are born, that the familiarity is still there. It's not such a shock of something new. That, you know, like anybody, I think anybody in this world are always looking for a source of comfort somewhere, you know. It's the same thing. That's where it starts. So I think that's why the power of the voice, the mother's voice initially is so important, and it starts there. I've seen some videos of like, you know, there was a man that said, well, he used to, when the, you know, the bump was moving, um, he would say, now this is your father speaking, you know, just as a joke, you know. But then when the baby was born and you know, the baby was starting to become fussy and things in the hospital, as a kind of a joke, even he didn't really think like to take it too seriously. He said, now this is your father speaking, and the baby kind of just stopped in its tracks, you know, and like recognized his voice and actually calmed, you know. So there is that recognition, that familiarity inside and outside, you know,
And is
that
this
that helps.
a work that should be done, as you were saying, during pregnancy and also continue after pregnancy? How do you do it? Is this with workshops? Is this just with a single mom? Is it on private settings? Is it with a group of moms? How does this transformation comes into being?
My recommendation and experience is that as soon as you know that you're pregnant and you decide to follow through with the pregnancy, you start this getting used to this your own tone. It's very individual, you know. This humming, mine might be lower or higher than yours, and that makes me feel really relaxed, and you get used to it. You have to discover it. Most people don't even know about it. And then singing, dancing, talking, to things that you feel good. But we also know from that earlier research that I mentioned that the fetus does not like very big noise or heavy frequencies. So any bass, music with all these very heavy basses, they don't like it. But I think generally what feels good for me is okay for the baby. It's fine. And but we learn to listen to our body, and only I can tell you if this feels good or not. And if I don't abuse myself, I will not abuse another person. So there's a sensitivity growing, and the formats are flexible. I customize my work to my client. It can be on an individual one-to-one session, or in even very big groups. In China, we had extraordinary big groups.
And is this something that you want primarily, that mothers to discover their voices, or is it you also apply musics or specific resonances that you think are optimal for pregnancy and for the connection between mother and baby?
Definitely, Susanna, definitely. We do have some recommendations and suggestions, because based on our experience and knowledge. But the best instrument everybody carries in their throat. And, this is the archetypal instrument that is given to living beings. And just a lot of people kind of are not confident using it, or for some reason in our culture it's not so common. Other cultures do have it still, that they sing together, dance together. And I'd like to be an inspiration to the world, and especially to the Western world, and in this technological world, to say, try it. You can't do anything wrong. You can't, don't scream, but make a sound. Try it. First maybe by yourself, or then sing along, and then get more and more comfortable and feel good about it, and then you will find like-minded people and you will do it with them. And I even have a friend who has been able to cure her own cancer with certain singing.
Yeah. Wow. And some moms, they feel anxious, others they may feel struggling emotionally, or even having a sense of disconnection between them and their baby. Is this how would this approach help those moms?
Well, there's an ancient saying, to raise one child, it needs a healthy village. And I believe that all the modern lifestyle is not very helpful to raise a child and be a mother and come into this whole womanhood and conscious conception, conscious pregnancy, conscious birthing, conscious parenting. It's very difficult, because most people struggle to survive, and it's not ideal. And so nothing is perfect. But I think most important is the empathy, the love towards myself, that I can grow and learn if I'm not already there. And it's never too late to start it, to learn and get help if you don't know about it. And then that radiates into the baby, that radiates into my partnership, into my, close surroundings, my beloved ones, my trusted ones. And then also in my workplace and in the world, how I stand in the world. And again, there, I would like to be an inspiration to the world and to tell my sisterhood, all the women in the world, that we can do it. We actually dare. We've been given these wonderful competencies, capacities. We sometimes just have to rediscover them.
One of the
Can I
things
say,
that
sorry, can I say something
yes,
too?
Terry,
Sorry,
go for
just
it.
to add
Yes.
on to that, or just like Adriana was saying that she does, one-on-ones and workshops, as well. We just thought we would develop a simple online ebook for new mothers as well, just because we know that sometimes there's a lot of isolation, of mom being at home with baby, you know what I mean? And sometimes like the fussiness is so bad they're unable to leave the house and things. So sometimes just getting a lifeline, to them at home, I think, it's something that helps as well. So that's why we developed something called the Soothing Sound Secret. And it's basically very simple, and it is just introducing about the customized lullaby and the bonding benefits that it has. But
Yes,
also,
exactly. I was going to ask about that because Adriana has wrote a blog, a post for the Prenatal Alliance blog, and one of the things that I found so interesting is about creating the customized lullaby. Please do talk a little bit about that. I think
yeah, well, I'll
it's
I'll
really
just talk a
incredible.
little bit just about the background as to why we did it, and I'll let Adriana talk about the ins and outs of it. But I mean, in it, it's only about at least 10 pages, but it's something about helping, like it's like an emergency lifeline in a way to a mom, where it's not like this quick fix where you snap your fingers and everything is wonderful, but it's basically saying like this is how you calm yourself, like giving like breathing exercises and whatnot, enough to then start to help yourself and baby. And with the custom lullaby, what it does, I think the custom, like saying the baby's name, like basically teaching mom very simple, structure to a lullaby, and saying the baby's name. I think that is a very kind of an excellent bonding tool, a calming tool to bring them together more, like no matter what is going on. And to also educate new parents, because I mean I've been a parent, and sometimes you get advice from friends, you might read a couple of books, you'll grab wherever you can. And I just think sometimes there needs to be a bit of education, even in the hospitals, like in the prenatal, groups and things about this sort of thing, because it basically it's like snakes and ladders. It could be a ladder that goes right to the top if people only knew the reasons why and the scientific research behind it and the proof, of what, the benefits of calming newborns. Because I just don't think that a lot of mothers seem to be prepared for anything, and when you have a baby, you might have in your mind, like, you might visualize, like this, like walking in the park with other moms. It's very idyllic, and as lovely as that is, like that's not what you might get. You could, you need to be prepared for anything. I say this only because Adriana and I, we belong to a few like very good Facebook groups and online, forums and things, and there is just a lot of it's unfortunate, and it's sad in a way that is a lot of venting, and frustration there, and what seems to be some kind of unpreparedness, and and a lot of mothers that, like, say the likes of myself, like I wouldn't have really, if I could go back in time, I would do things very differently with my two newborns, because I'm not a singer. I'm self-conscious about singing. It's just maybe somebody said something to me as a half joke once and it stuck, and I just don't think, I don't think, and it doesn't come naturally to me. And I'm sure there's lots of mothers out there. I talk to mothers online, and so does Adriana, about they'll say, oh yes, I sing. Like, it's very, a lot of them are very confident, but a lot of them aren't, and wouldn't even think that, they would think that a lullaby is just something that is trite, like, oh, sing your baby lullaby, is that nice? But there's so much more to it than that. There's so much more substance to it that could actually help with your bonding and help with your self-esteem, you know, and they're calm because of your voice and because of the familiarity that they have with the mother's voice primarily. You know, there's so much there that can help. That they
Yeah,
just need
I think
education on it.
it's wonderful when Adriana said, you know, the voice of the mother is a tool given by life, right?
Hmm.
So, and I do think also that there are mothers that are very self-conscious about singing, and and if they found that this is actually a resource of connection in pregnancy and after pregnancy. If you do it in pregnancy, then there's a recognition of baby can recognize those sounds and that familiarity, because the baby goes from the inside of the womb where everything is familiar and known to the outside, to the exterior world where everything is yet to be discovered. And then
New.
suddenly the voice of the mother is there. And if there's yamming, there's a lullaby, there's a singing that he was used to, suddenly he recognized, oh, this world is maybe not as different as I was
Yes.
experiencing. There is this sense of familiarity.
I think
And
that could make all the difference,
yeah,
to be honest, you know.
definitely. I think it's so important. Um, is there
May I
anything that
add?
you would like
May I
to?
add
Yes,
something?
that's what I was going to ask you, Adriana. Is there anything else that you would like to add for new parents that are listening and that you would like them to, you know, start doing?
Yes, just to finish that topic that we've been on now, we have a wonderful example in the south of France. They had a birth a hospital, maternity hospital, and the department where all the early born babies were in the, what do you call it, in the warmth, in the
In the
box,
incubators,
what's it called?
incubators.
Incubator, in the incubator. And a French midwife and nurse did a degree on this scientific project, and they used in that project our instruments, because we have developed specific instruments for that stage of life. And with her voice, our method, and also these instruments that we have, um, they could prove that the incubator babies had 10 minutes of this every day. They were able to release them quicker out of the incubator to go back to mama, and they were healthier. The immune system kicked in quicker. Their development was better, stronger, quicker than the others who did not receive this wonderful experience. So that is one to finish off the previous topic, and to as a recommendation to the parents is, in the modern time, to not so much spend on their digital devices instead of with the children. You know, I see wherever I travel the world a lot, on many continents, constantly. It's everywhere the same thing lately, that we all use this machine. I mean, now I'm using it because it's convenient. It's a tool. It's become a tool to be online on a virtual device. But I would hardly, I would strongly recommend that not to use these machines when you have the baby, the young child. It has radiation. It's not good. Use your voice. Maybe in your adult time, learn from it and sing along and get your information and so on. But when you're with the children, please be with the children.
Thank you so much, Adriana. Thank you so much, Terri, for your contribution today for our podcast. It's wonderful. I hope you can send me the links of some of the research that you just talked about, and also we'll keep in touch throughout our work and throughout our partnership. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you also, Susanna. It's a pleasure.